Everyone, great honor to be presenting this knowledge from ancient India to you all. We'll go into some details of holistic health and its application in world peace. How it is present in Ayurveda, ancient science of holistic health from India. This comes from ancient Vedic tradition of masters of knowledge, enlightened seers, who in their consciousness held wholeness of life, totality of life, what we term in India as enlightenment. And ancient Vedic system of knowledge was more subjective oriented. They went inner into their own consciousness and found the source of all creation, all evolution of life there, and connected human life with wholeness of natural law. How a human life can align to natural law and free itself from suffering and problems. So, Maharishi comes from that Vedic tradition. His master was in line of ancient rishis, starting from Adi Shankaracharya. Top picture is Adi Shankaracharya, great master that was like about 2000 years ago. He revived all Vedic traditions all throughout the India, and since then the masters in that knowledge hold the seats in north, east, the west and south of India. And Maharishi spent a lot of his lifetime with his master, Gurudev, and gained total knowledge, total enlightenment. And somewhere in mid-50s, he came out to the world to give this knowledge, this message from India that, human life is meant to be blissful. It's not suffering. And the purpose of life is expansion of happiness, health, and longevity. So, how Maharishi defines Ayurveda? Ayurveda is Veda of Ayu. Veda is total knowledge. Vedas are the scriptures of ancient India which inscript the knowledge of natural law, the language of nature. And there is complete knowledge of life. It is the science of life, the science of wholeness of life, the science of perfect health. That is Ayurveda. And so to explain Ayurveda, Charaka says, Charak Samhita. Charak is the founder, father of Ayurveda. And he says, first explain Veda and then explain Ayus, what is life. Ayurveda, science of life. So let's see how Maharishi describes Veda. And there's one verse in Brahma Sutra, beginning of the very ancient scripture of Vedic tradition, Janmadhyasya Yata. And Maharishi says, Veda is natural impulse of infinite, eternal, uncreated, pure consciousness that is at the basis of all creation, evolution, and dissolution in the universe. So, Veda finds that consciousness underlying every aspect of life. There is an underlying unity beneath all diversities of life, which is sustaining life, which is evolving life, which is maintaining life, and life also dissolves in that. That is the foundation of Veda and foundation of Ayurveda also. So how Charaka Samhita describes the definition of Ayurveda, Charaka says, having explained Veda, and we saw just now, it's a source and course of creation. one should explain Ayush, means life, as then he defines what is life. Chetananavritti, that is continuum of consciousness. Wherever there is life, there is continuum of consciousness. Jivita, being alive. Life, knowing itself. That is being alive. Anubandha, being connected to the source. Every expression of life is always connected to the source of life. And Dari, life that sustains body, like human body is sustained, plant body is sustained, animal body. So wherever there is life, life sustains the physical structure of the being. So we'll be talking. Ayurveda is a huge subject, but I'll today stick my talk on consciousness as the fundamental aspect of Ayurveda, Veds, and how consciousness is. It has, like Ayurveda says, mind has two, like one going out and one that goes in. Inward directed mind, it is more creative, more intelligent, more resourceful because it's connected more to the nature. So when it is inward directed, then science finds that the coherence in the brainwave pattern, the electroencephalograph coherence, is much more. And when it is outer, it is less. So, for example, a musician is composing a music, and at that time, if the brain patterns are seen, then it's very coherent. And same musician with his own, listening to his own creation, and that brain patterns are not that profound, coherent. So one is self-referral direction, other is object referral. Object referral, lower frontal EEG coherence, lower alpha gamma power ratio, less efficient cortical preparatory response. These are integration scale scores from EEG patterns. And inward directedness. So what are the factor scores? Higher moral reasoning, higher happiness, greater emotional stability, inner orientation, lower anxiety, and higher coherence in brainwave. So this ancient system that Maharishi brought from Vedic tradition in its purity is easy, effortless, spontaneous technique of transcending. Mind that is going outward, connecting to the world, experiencing, interacting, behaving, creating, that same mind goes to more quieter level, more inner level, which are more subtle, more powerful, more creative, more intelligent, and going finer, and then transcending the finest, that is pure consciousness. All the contents of consciousness get filtered out, and one is where the source of our intelligence, source of our thoughts are, source of our creativity is. And that is what in Vedic text called Atma, or Samadhi level, transcendental consciousness. It's also described as fourth state of consciousness, like waking, dreaming, sleeping. These are three states of consciousness, and transcendental consciousness is fourth state of consciousness. Now we see in nature also, as nature goes finer, more unified levels come, more and more unification comes. Maybe 60, 70 years ago, science found there are four fundamental laws of nature which are sustaining, which are from where all the laws of physics come. Just four fundamental forces of nature, fundamental laws of nature, and they call it electromagnetism, weak interaction, strong interaction, gravitation. These four. And you see, when nature goes finer, then integration happens, more powerful layers are coming. Like on one level, electricity and magnetism, they are separate, completely independent laws, and apparently no connection. But when they go finer into space and time, they integrate. The laws of nature integrate on the final level. Electromagnetic field. Now, naturally, that is much richer because much more is available there. And also more powerful and more harmonious. At the same time, more universal. See, gravity, these laws on the surface level, they are normal, simple things, and nothing big looks at that time. For example, apple falling from the tree. And simple, you can touch, taste, smell. But when human consciousness goes deeper into that reality, then it is found that it's a law of gravity. On that level, it is universal. Whether Earth is moving around the sun, or the planets are moving around the sun, or whole galaxy is moving with that force of gravity. And such power is that like the speed with which we are pulled, like in the space, is like 2.1 billion kilometers per hour, that powerful. Same effect that was seen just simply, apple falling on the tree. Similarly, electromagnetism, just about 200 years ago, we didn't have electricity. And this scientist, Michael Faraday, he was doing research in his laboratory. There is a magnet, and he's moving a cable near to magnet. And there is a dial that is shifting. Apparently, it looks like a simple phenomenon, nothing to it. But he could grasp the power behind it, the depth behind it. And that electromagnetism today is like lighting the whole world. Electricity, all the electric energy coming from there. And what is that? Nothing is touching anything. There is a magnet, and the cable is cutting the magnetic field. Without touching, whole world is lit and whole world is getting electrical energy. So apparently, simple phenomenon have very deep, profound, universal effect. And from that, still, we were talking on the top level, but still further, electroweak unification, gram unification. Now, there's a super unification, unified field theory, one theory for all theories, from where everything emerges. So physics says that is a unified field of all the laws of nature. So how powerful. Veda says that as Brahman, that from where everything emerges, from where everything is created. And same is our physiology. Physiology, if we say society, then individual, organisms, systems, organs, tissues, cells. Every final level we go, more and more power is seen, more and more ability is seen, just seeing at the level of cells. And human body has some 30 to 35 trillion cells. And what we see in the cells is like every cell has its nucleus, every nucleus has DNA, and every DNA has total genetic expression, total blueprint of life is there. And so what we see, that each cell holds totality of life, totality of our physiology and throughout the life. But at the same time, the cells has a function on the individual level that it performs. Holding on to totality, it runs the heart, it does what it needs on the liver side or the stomach. So everywhere the cell is performing its own, but holding the whole totality. And that is the knowledge that Vedic tradition, Vedic rishis found. For example, in Ayurveda, when Charak Samhita describes Charaka in his text, maybe we don't know how long, 5,000 years ago, something like that. And he said that the rishis of the whole India gathered at the foothills of Himalayas. with one purpose. What is causing this sickness? What is cause of this suffering, ill health? What is the solution to that? And what they did, that science was great. Go inward, establish that field of total knowledge and find the truth. Same thing today, scientists find it is objective, but they are going inward to find the truth of nature. And what truth was found? That the intelligence that is there in nature, same intelligence is in human physiology and consciousness. And if we can attune our body's inner intelligence to the nature's intelligence, then we will maintain our good health. That balance creates health. So all the physiological aspects, all the functioning are in balance, are in harmony with each other and in harmony with nature. And then Sushruta further defines it, that human life, when it is spiritually happy, mentally happy, all aspects of mind are happy, and his interaction with society, with his work, with his relation, with his behavior is in happiness, then it is health. And as in Ayurveda is said, swasthya. The word is swasthya, means establishing one's own self, one's own nature, where there is perfect harmony, perfect balance. And every expression coming from there is in tune with natural law. So man does not make mistake, man does not create cause for suffering. And naturally his action, naturally his intention, naturally his acts are in tune with natural law. So that through trance meditation. What happens, TM? Very innocently, very naturally, very effortless. Technique to go final, transcend to that wholeness of life within ourselves. And it's nothing but our own nature, our own pure nature. Consciousness, pure consciousness is perfect harmony, perfect balance. So how it is described, that state in Ayurveda, described in Vedanta, described in all Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita and all that. But Ayurveda, they are masters of consciousness. So how they describe Atma, the nature of the self, is unmanifest. Before creation happens, before our mind starts functioning. Knower of all creation, eternal, universal, and indestructible. And then Prakash, another text, Atma is light of absolute bliss consciousness, eternal, non-attached, and without attributes. Upon contact with Prakriti, manifest creation arises. To explain this, it's like, explaining a beautiful plant and flowers, and every diversity is there. If you see flowers, soft petals, beautiful fragrance, great colors, but if you go on the final levels of petals, then what happens? You come to the level of sap, which is throughout. A sap that is at the basis of everything, from where every attributes come, but it is universal and it is attributeless. That source of everything, at the basis of everything, every fiber of the plant has that level of sap, colorless, fragranceless, activity-less sap. So that is beyond all our expressions of life, there is that harmony. Beyond all the waves, when we go to the bottom of the ocean, it's silent and bounded. So pure consciousness is not restricted, it's bounded. So meditation in our Vedic tradition is to attain to that level of harmony within. So yoga says also, yoga chittam nitya tada drashtu swarupe avasthana. What it says, and then the observer is establishing his own nature. Swarupe avasthana. We just saw definition of health, swasthya, same, Swarupe Avastha, established in the self. And what is that? Samadhi, according to Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So how that when it says that it's different than waking, dreaming, sleeping, then you see the electroencephalograms of a person doing transcendental meditation. And just you see on the left side, before TM is how the normal brain waves are. And then on the right side, once when it starts to meditate and the brain wave get integrated. And this brain waves integration is not seen in normal day-to-day activities and life. For example, on the left side is like 2 weeks transcendental meditation, regular meditation, just 2 weeks practice. And you see once when one starts lower half, there are no peaks, it's still eyes closed. And then middle one is eyes like meditation, transcendental meditation. Suddenly the brain wave starts to be coherent. These peaks are not seen in day-to-day activity. And then again, end of meditation, this disappears. Second one is 4 months meditation. And you see more frequencies, brainwave coherence spreads to different frequencies. And third is like 2-year meditation, you can see further coherence. And even before one starts and after one starts, coherence already starts to build up. So this is what science has found about what state of samadhi or turiya, the fourth state of consciousness, has been described. And so just like here, see all the eyes open, eyes closed, and TM practice. Different parts of the brain get connected, integrated, and that is this scientific research is of 600-700 scientific researches on different areas of life on transcendental meditation, published in various journals of science. So what happens if we say that simple phenomenon has very deep, profound effect, and just like we saw on the physics, now on the consciousness level, then is the Maharishi describes that samadhi as the simplest form of human awareness. That simplest form of awareness has such profound effect that even on the level of genetics, on the level of DNA transformations are seen. And on the level of health, then we see like what is the deepest shock. For example, trauma that one gets in the war. And TM has been found tremendously effective in, PTSD syndrome in the war studies. And this is like, 3,400 participants in 61 studies. The results are amazing. You see, the last bars are TM. How much effectivity is seen compared to other forms of practice. And different colors are like, one is all groups, one is military group, and one is civilian group. And every area, wherever there is a PTSD syndrome, it is found. So I'm just taking some fundamental things that change happen. Oops. So this is again how the transformation happens in ADHD students. And then we take one example of cardiovascular disease. It's the most highest cause of deaths in the world. So one sample example, and if it is holistic, then every area around that should be found to be healthy. So one disease, cardiovascular, and take all the risk factors connected with it. And meta-analysis found that every risk factor, so whether it is anxiety, depression, stress, blood pressure, insulin resistance, all these factors that cause risk of heart disorders, they all get recovered with one transcendental meditation technique. So holistic. And then another, like you take large group of number of people practicing, like 2,000 here, 2,000 individuals practicing regularly TM. And this is a very big research done by the results of an insurance company, all category of disorders. So hospital admission goes down. So average hospital reduction in the regular practicing patients, like group of 2,000, it went down 57% compared to regular. And some cases like heart disorder, hospital admission to that was 87% down compared to control group. So it gives, like, how effective it is. So 48% lower risk of heart attack and stroke and deaths with TM program. Now, so this consciousness we saw on the individual level and the society level, how it can transform society, because when we say that it is universal, its effect is universal, the consciousness on that level is all pervading, all encompassing. The society, the theory is that individual, however stressful or incoherent it is, or coherent and peaceful individually, he is contributing to the collective consciousness of the society. And collective consciousness overall influences the human consciousness. If collective stress is there, the human life gets affected. So Ayurveda or Vedic studies say that this can be transformed. Collective stress can be reduced and the society can transform. And how it is seen, like first examples, and this was Maharishi described, whenever there was a peak, like in the cities when 72, 73, lot of TM promotion was happening in USA, then whenever a city crossed 1% of population practicing transcendental meditation, then the reduction in crime suddenly started to happen. So these are like 11 first cities and 11 comparable control cities. And so crime decreased at average of 88.2% on the left side, cities practicing more than 1% population, and 8.3% increase average in the controlled cities. So it is like 16% difference total. And that shows that society, life in the society improves, coherence improves, and life becomes better. Here are the, so you see on the dotted lines that crime rate is increasing, but then when the population 1% starts to meditate, then suddenly the decrease happens everywhere. The crime rate starts to decrease at that level. But then came Mahari's advanced practice of TMCD, where consciousness can be multiplied into the like a field effect of consciousness. And so initially, like short time, bigger groups were created enough to affect the whole population of the world, like 7,000 practicing TMCD together in one place. And between 80, 85, 83, 85, three assemblies happened in USA, Fairfield, and then Holland, and in Washington, D.C. And there were number were enough, few weeks, but number enough to see the result in the whole world. And two things were seen: the international conflicts reduction, and on the right side we see terrorism, reduction in terrorism. And that is how a coherence in collective consciousness starts to transform the world. Now, similarly here, the number going higher, the quality of life increasing, number going lower. But those experiments were short term and smaller groups. So this was in Israel and Lebanon area, their war deaths were decreasing as the numbers went up. But this was in 93 again, short term, but in Washington DC, big group for I think 8 weeks were there, and the crime rate reduced by 23% reduction happened here. And this was with all the top scholars of the countries were provided with national inputs, and journalists were there, researchers were there, and it was announced how it will happen beforehand, and it was found this great reduction in there. So what Ayurveda says from Charak Samhita, so when dharma, so how violation of natural law causes this disruption in society. So he says, Charaka says, when dharma means action according to natural law declines in the collective consciousness of a nation, the rulers do not follow the righteous path and violate the laws of nature. This decline is due to pragya, mistaken intellect. Constant violation of natural law by rulers lead to their subordinates and the ordinary people to add to those acts of adharma, lack of dharma. Wrongful collective acts by the population increase adharma. And as dharma declines, natural law does not fully support people's life. This results in seasons getting impaired, rains don't come in time, famines arise, and weather patterns become imbalanced. Adharma causes abnormalities in the earth and water. Consequently, medicinal herbs derived from the ground and water lose their efficacy. All this results in collective suffering and destruction. Similarly, violation of natural law, adharma, is at the root of wars. Because of increased greed, anger, and ego, some people may start fighting among themselves with killer intention or start fight with the enemy. They may attack the enemy or get attacked by the enemy. So Charak explains root cause of war as incoherence in society. And Vedic literature, Vedic science has given the solution how to bring coherence, and Maharishi has revived them. This is a very more recent and more extensive study. It is for 4 years, a group was funded to stay together and do collective coherence in the United States of America. And so this threshold number of square root of 1% was like 750 something number. And blue line is where the numbers is increasing. And 2007, we reach, above the threshold. And all the other lines that are seen are crime rates in the whole of the country, United States. And the red line in the middle is the composite of all the different crimes. And very deep crimes like, murder, rape, aggravated assault, robbery, infant mortality, drug deaths, all these things. And everything coming down as it was maintained up to 2011, everything went down. And as the group decreased later on, in 1 or 2, 3 years, then crime started going up again. So what it proves is that collective coherence is a key to whole society to be peaceful, be harmonious, be progressive, be joyful. Life of society can be improved. Health of society can be improved if the collective consciousness is attended. See, the numbers just on the right side are amazing. How much this experiment, 4 years, but together it was like estimated drug-induced deaths, like 79,941 fewer deaths. Child and adolescent deaths by injury, 158,918 fewer deaths. Then next is murders, 28,553 murders have averted. Assaults, 948,000 assaults averted. So these are government figures. The numbers are from FBI, from crime branch in USA. It is a proven practice. All that is needed is a government or a wealthy billionaire to sponsor such a group for collective peace in the world, to bring harmony through this very technology, to bring collective health. And it can be achieved, is seen. And it's just saying, like, when we didn't know electricity, it was like, what, it's a children's toy or what? And suddenly whole world is lit. So that power is there. And I end my presentation with the last verse of Rig Veda. It's called Samanyasa Sutta. Rig Veda is one of the origin of Indian Vedic text of civilization. So this is the last slide. I'll just read the translation of that. And this is not a good wish. It underlies a technology, Vedic science behind it. Live in harmony together. Let your speech be in harmony together. Know that your minds function from a common source. In the same manner as all the impulses of creative intelligence, Devatas, the laws of nature, before diversifying, remain together in oneness, united near the source. Integrated is the expression of knowledge. An assembly creates coherence in unity. United are your minds. Perform actions in unified silence to generate wholeness of life. United be your purpose. Harmonious be your feelings. Collected be your minds. In the same way as all diverse aspects of the universe exist in togetherness and wholeness. Thank you so much.